pleasant good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio, those of you viewing GBN TV. Good morning, welcome. It's to the point. It's Thursday, the 25th day of September 2025. You know what happens on a Thursday? We do entertain various departments within the RGPF. No one is here as yet. We're expecting them to be here pretty soon. So in the interim, we're probably going to, of course, for time purposes, we're going to entertain a few of your calls, 435-2041. And as we await the particular department, I'm not sure which departments could be popping in this morning, but we await the particular department that will pop in, and when they do arrive, we certainly will entertain them. So the lines are open to you temporarily, just so of course you could call in. Of course, let's hear from you. I beg of you to be brief in terms of what you would like to speak about. I will also beg of you, of course, to proper language in terms of how you to spread your information you would like to throw out. All right, let's go to the first caller. Caller live. Good morning, welcome.
Hello, good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing great. How are you this morning?
Yes, I'm doing good. Thank God for that. I want to. Yesterday morning I made mention of that, and I want to continue. The question in the Gaza, the slaughtering, okay, and what subsequently may happen is that the extermination of the Palestinian people through military means. I'm appalled that the international community is sitting there in deep silence and allowing Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, and his military to slaughter children, blow up hospitals and say Hamas has missiles there, blow ambulances to pieces, and the rest of the so-called civilized world is not saying anything. You know, I never thought in this ultra-modern era such an atrocity could be committed with such a deafening silence. You know, so I'm making an appeal to the international community, the United Nations, and everyone that respects humanity and human value and human dignity to combine and stop Benjamin Netanyahu, the killing machine. He's guilty of crimes against humanity because he's working tirelessly to exterminate the Palestinians. If this nonsense continues, within a year or so, nobody will be alive in the West Bank, in Gaza, and the whole Palestinian area. I think CARICOM, the United Nations, and the rest of the civilized world should stand up against Benjamin Netanyahu and his killing machine. Thanks very much, bro.
Thank you so much for your, of course, contribution this morning. We do have another caller via WhatsApp. What's up, caller live? Good morning. Welcome.
Yes, GT.
Good morning to you, sir.
And good morning to your listeners and your viewers. Just to piggyback a little on what your first caller mentioned, the truth about it is that Israel controls the world right now. I mean, in fact, the United States, who is the biggest backer, cannot do anything because the leaders, the politicians are compromised. Netanyahu would unleash some photograph and so on about some of these people. I mean, if they take action. So that's that dilemma we face in the world. Israel, and they can go anywhere in the world. In fact, Netanyahu said a few years ago that anybody, they'll reach you any way they want. Anyway, he said that after they capture Bahrain, this is then. I mean, they were able to trace him down and get him back to Bahrain. He said that in a documentary.
Okay.
That they'll reach you, and this thing could happen to us too. It could come here. And by the way, in terms of migration, a number of these Israelis are fleeing Israel and they're going to countries like South Africa, for instance. Ukrainians and and Israelis are flocking South Africa now. And they're going different ways. They're in Argentina, they're in different places, and they're also in the Caribbean already. Because, so, I mean, and once these people go wherever they go, they create problems, leading to ethnic cleansing. Then finally, one quick press question. Judy, I want to suggest that people go and listen both the presentation of Lula da Silva of Brazil and that president of Slovenia. I think you will learn a lot from what these two people had to say.
All right.
the address to the United Nations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much as always. We do have another caller via, of course, the direct line. Caller, live. Good morning.
Good morning, GT. Good morning to you and all your listeners.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Great. Thanks for taking my call. This morning. Listen, I have a deep concern, and it is not only me personally, but it's affecting a lot of persons in the diaspora. Know that from time to time we are born Grenadians. Yes, we do have businesses and concerns that we have to do. We have to hire a lawyer for. And the thing about it is that some of these lawyers are taking awfully long just to get a simple thing done. Yes, they are being paid, but I don't know if it's an extortionary tactics that they want to extort some more money from us. But things are not moving speedily. My concern is I am asking, and somebody may direct me, what is the recourse? What recourse do I have when a lawyer fails to get money to do a project or do something and have not done it? What is the recourse? I guess some of your ardent listeners who are well versed with the law would help me on that today. Thank you. Have a good day. Be safe.
Down.
Let's celebrate the 19th annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert on Sunday, November 9th from 5 p.m. at the Grenada Trade Center with the best of Grenada along with the Black Prince and the Pink Panther. Our partners, Hubbard's, GBN, Grenada Paper Products, Grenada Distillers Limited, makers of Clacks Court, Grenada's #1 rum, Brenville Credit Union, Bryden and Miners, Agents 4, Johnny Walker, Smirnoff Vodka and Campari, Renwick Thompson and Company Limited, Pierre Marcel, Hard On Plus, Gittins Healthcare, Dollar Savers Auto Parts, Rise and Shine Supermarket, Springs Food Mart, Excel Plaza, Clem Vision Eye Center, Chillaxin Cafe, Ansett Coating, Victory Bar, Blue Bubba's PA Rental and Events Supply, Chateau de la Motte, Grenada, Captain Harris Apartments, Gem Holiday, Beach Resorts, Dana's City Inn, Glen Egg, Spring Water, and the Grenada Trade Center. Sunday, November 9th, 5 p.m. Grenada Trade Center, the 19th annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert. Please be seated by 4 p.m. Hubbard's Legends in Concert.
Are you ready to take charge of your money, build wealth, and protect your family's legacy? Then join us on October 9th, 2025 at Radisson Grenada Beach Resort for your Financial Future 2.0 Legacy, Literacy, and Liberation, a one-day financial summit designed to break cycles, build wealth, and leave a lasting legacy. You'll gain real-life budgeting hacks, a money mindset reboot, steps to create generational wealth, and practical tips on investing, estate planning, insurance, health, and business finance, all from expert speakers who know how to turn knowledge into action. With 2 inspirational keynotes, 3 powerful panel discussions, and 6 breakout sessions, you will leave with your personalized action plan for success. Don't wait. Secure your seat today. Tickets are EC $350 at disruptiveleadershipconference.com/YFF. Your Financial Future 2.0. Your next chapter starts here.
welcome back to our listeners. Welcome back, viewers, once again to The Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. I did mention in this segment our guests will be joining us. And, of course, we have from the Community Relations Department, of course, is it? Corporal Reddit. Yeah. I didn't forget it this time. Corporal Reddit. And, of course, we have the is it the Grenada Dementia Initiative and Community? Yes. So, ladies, I'll let you introduce yourselves before we get a conversation rolling. Who goes first?
So, I'm Claudia Thomas, Director of GDI.
Claudia Thomas, all right.
I'm Marissa Charles-Lewis. I'm a Support Manager of GDI.
All right. So our conversation this morning will be on elderly abuse. It could say it's a concern that lots of Grenadians will have when it comes to the abuse of elderly. It may be happening maybe in the private homes, may happening in the homes for senior citizens and so forth. Within the community, sometimes we know elderly get abused for various reasons. We'll feel she will I can tell her anything. I say anything to her because tell me the responsibilities of your particular grouping, if I could say them that way, and why this particular grouping was formed in terms of helping the elderly who are being abused.
Okay, so we launched on in June this year.
Yeah, so it's kind of new.
It's kind of new. It's kind of new. It's very new. So the whole thing came about because working in the community with elderly people and people who have dementia, we saw a need for better quality of life.
Yeah.
So we came up with the initiative. We met as a group to see how we could address the issues we were seeing in the community, like isolation, people who have dementia, undiagnosed, people treating them as if they're crazy or mad or not understanding what they're going through. We wanted to bring awareness about dementia to the community. We wanted to bring training and education to the community in regards to how to take care of somebody who has dementia. All of those things. We wanted government involvement, and so we reached out to government, and they were very willing to step in to help us, and we're partnering with them in this initiative. So all about dementia, and not only dementia, I hasten to add, elderly people who are alone, isolated, who need stimulating cognitively, we are appealing to them to come to us.
Okay. I mean, before we wrap up this program this morning and we would disperse the information in terms of folks to get in contact and so forth, we certainly do that. Now, as we speak about dementia a whole lot, there are signs that will tell someone is probably having an issue. Let's talk about the early stages of it as we move through. Talk to me.
So early stages, it's critical that people understand early stages, because when they do, you get help quicker, you can slow the progression of the illness, of the disease. One of the earlier signs, especially with Alzheimer's, is memory loss. So you would find that your elderly relative is becoming more forgetful than usual. So all of us, we have a mobile phone, we put it down, we don't know where we put it, we lose our keys every day, we're misplacing things.
I reached the elderly stage, and I'm going through that.
I was saying that yesterday.
So it becomes a problem, like you and me now, we could retrace and say, I went upstairs, and I left the phone, then I remember, and you go and get it. With somebody with early stages of dementia, they cannot retrace. And so they begin to accuse people of stealing. You took it because I put it here. And they cannot go back and retrace their steps. And even if it's found, they will say, you put it there and they didn't. So they cannot have that memory. The short-term memory is gone. Other things you will notice is they struggling with words, finding words to explain things or to say something. They will get very irritable. Anxiety comes in for no reason at all. Their behavior change. whereas they used to cook a nice pot of oil down, they can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
They're missing out the dumpling or the coconut or something. If they're making a simple cake or something, they miss out ingredients, and you notice these things. They'll have problems with counting money, managing a bank account. If you put $5, $10 and $1 in front of them and ask them to add it up, they would struggle with simple, basic things. They will lose interest in washing and bathing and dressing. They will think they've done it already, and they haven't, and you would explain it to them, but they will argue with you and say, I've had a bath already, and they haven't had one for 2 days.
Right.
So these are early things that you could look out for.
The intervention part, how do you intervene into that particular way of life of that individual?
Okay, so you're asking for the steps we take to help that person.
Help that individual.
I will hand over to my colleague.
Sure.
The step to take, first of all, by monitoring them, you realize the behavior has changed. So that's when you start to step in to see, okay, then what can I do to help them? What has caused that lead into that? Because sometimes when we see them doing little things and we don't pay attention, we think, they just forget something, not realizing they're not coping with it. Yeah. So we have to monitor them and try to find out where can we help them to develop more and figure out what is the problem, and then be there to support them. Don't shout at them, and when they're telling you that they lost something, don't tell them no, they didn't. Let's say, well, let's go look for it.
Okay.
So they don't feel like, I'm going crazy. In other words, yes, they lose it. We are realizing that they have lost it and they're going slowly, but don't just leave them like that and say, hush your mouth. Just isolate them and figure like, you won't get that, you know what you do with it. So then you're making them disbelieve themselves, because to them, they're already telling, you took it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You understand? So now we have to try to help them, to support them. The doctor.
Yes.
They need to be taken to the doctor, and they go diagnose them and help them, and then we will find out, okay, this is a step we have to take. The doctor will do the tests and stuff like the cognitive tests, and then we will see, okay, then it's early dementia, is memory loss and stuff like that.
All right. And you preempted my next question, because I will say, that when does the medical assistant step in on this? You have noticed the sign. You made the intervention in terms of offering assistance, as you mentioned, let's look for whatever you may have lost, and let me help you with this or that. When does the medical assistance now step in? At what stages will you request the medical assistance?
So we have a center, we have a support line. People in the community can call us to find out what they need to do. Okay. So we have a doctor who does dementia assessments, and we could make that referral. So all they need to do is to contact us and say, I'm worried about my mom, my dad, whoever it is, what can I do? And the doctor will visit the home and do some cognitive tests, as Marissa just said, and make a diagnosis, and we take it from there.
Being a new grouping in Grenada, and I guess this grouping came about because of the folks have been noticing the conversations that you've been having with individuals who may have family members who are going through that particular way, who are having those issues in their lives. Have may have caused you to form this particular grouping. How has the feedback been for the grouping thus far? How has it been for you?
So we opened the center about 2 months ago, Marissa, I believe. Yes. And we expected like floods of people coming in. It's not happening. We're a new organization, and people are a bit wary. They don't know what we're doing or what we're about. And so, programs like this is really, really good.
And sensitize folks that they can get assistance.
Let people know what we have. So far, it's been dripples of people coming in, mainly to ask questions, to find out what we're doing, why we're here, what we're offering. So we had a taste today about 2 weeks ago, where we had everything on display of all the things that we do, loads of different things, board games, card games, and stuff like that, group games. A dominoes table, a cards table, painting, drawing, exercising, chair exercise for people who can't stand for too long. We have a little group discussion on cognitive stimulation and talking about a little bit about dementia and what it is with groups of people. Their families come with them. So we sit in a group and we have a little discussion about these things. So the feedback Well, somebody rang me today, this morning, to say that she needed help with her father, who's 92. He needs to be stimulated cognitively, so can she bring him into a center? So we only have one center at the moment, so that person will need a transport to get into the center in Satiers to take part in the activities. So we're arranging that. And I think that came about as a result of our interview yesterday. Okay. Somebody listened to the station and they thought, well,
okay, great. Let me just ask this one. Isolation always seems to be the first step most families will take when they have a family member with cases of that nature. We just lock them up in a room, or you would say that is not recommended at all. And I picked that up from what you say. You need to give some way of stimulating their minds back again. Get them doing things, that they may have forgotten about doing for some reason or the other. They no longer think about playing a game or having that in-depth conversation with someone and stuff like that. And not just quarreling with other family members, but getting things that will stimulate their minds to get them back to a level. They may not get back to a level of normalcy. It may not happen. But you say, do not isolate individuals when they get to that stage. All right.
Absolutely.
Don't you bring them out, because once you isolate them, you lock them away, then they feel they're not worth it. They know they have no worth, and they get more lonely. So by giving them activities to do, find out the things that they like to do back then, their history, like to go on the beach, like to go for a morning walk. They used to get up and go to the market early, play a card games, a domino games. All this thing can trigger something and bring some kind of happiness back into their life. But when you leave them in a corner there, then their brain, they don't understand what is happening. So then they get more isolation, then they get aggressive. And then they will want to eat. But when they get out and involved with people, it kind of helps them, and it also slow down the process of dementia, because the brain needs to be active, and it's being active. Some of them might, like, you put a domino game, who really love domino, they haven't played domino in years, and they will come back what they're doing, and you see they start slamming the table because they have remembered these are the things. So a little reminiscing, all of that part is to help them. So don't just put them in a corner and say, be quiet.
Just one quick story. I did some training for a nursing home, and there was an elderly gentleman who sat in the corner, non-verbal, said absolutely nothing to nobody all day long, all night. We brought out some dominoes, and he was playing with one of the carers. The carer thought she was going to teach him. He beat her. And nobody knew that he had this cognitive ability still.
Just wasn't getting the opportunity to show it up. We drew for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, we continue the conversation. Of course, Corporate, I'll give you opportunity to step in when we come back. Should we come back? So that's folks, to the point. Classic Radio, GBN TV. We'll be right back after the break.
Boom! 100 shot, never two. Aliu, these jacks coming. I will do you only 7 seconds. Look out for me. Oh, Aliu, I'm joking.
On the 27th and 28th of September, the Grenada Motor Club will be hosting the King Ocean CDRC Qualifier International Drags, featuring racers from 7 different Caribbean islands and the United States. Action kicks off Friday, September 26th with the Test and Tune and Welcome Party in collaboration with C4 Promotions, and a special drift show exhibition. On Saturday, September 27th is the Bracket Race Qualifiers, and on Sunday the 28th, Parade of the Cars and Bracket Race Finals, featuring one of the Caribbean's top automotive YouTubers, Nick Lou from Skunk Lifestyle, will be on island to cover all the action. So mark the date, September 27th and 28th at the Pearls International Speedway. You don't want to miss this one. This event is made possible by our title sponsor, King Ocean, GTA, and True Blue Bay Resort.
Everything gonna turn up.
Grenada, let's celebrate the 19th annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert on Sunday, November 9th from 5 p.m. at the Grenada Trade Center with the best of Grenada, along with the Black Prince and the Pink Panther. Our partners, Hubbard's, GBN, Grenada Paper Products, Grenada Distillers Limited, makers of Clax Court, Grenada's #1 rum, Brentville Credit Union, Bryden and Miners, Agents 4, Johnny Walker, Smyrna Vodka, and Camper Curry, Renwick Thompson and Company Limited, Pierre Marcel, Hard On Plus, Gittins Healthcare, Dollar Savers Auto Parts, Rise and Shine Supermarket, Springs Food Mart, Excel Plaza, Clem Vision Eye Center, Chillaxing Cafe, Answer Coating, Victory Bar, Blue Bubba's PA Rental and Events Supply, Chateau de la Motte, Grenada, Captain Harris Apartments, Gem Holiday, Beach Resorts, Dana's City Inn, Glen Egg, Spring Water, and the Grenada Trade Center. Sunday, November 9th, 5 p.m. Grenada Trade Center, the 19th annual Hubbard's Legends in Concert. Please be seated by 4 p.m. Hubbard's Legends in Concert.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. Once again, we're talking the elderly abuse this morning. We're talking about, especially with this grouping called the Grenada Dementia Initiative and a Community, and they're talking about, of course, it's not only talking about dementia, but we're talking about the abuse to elderly that happens as a result of elderly going through that particular aspect in their life. And folks, the impatience we're running to, as we feel we'll be okay, and they're doing that, so we get a little bit aggressive with them. I want to chip in with Constable Corporal Reddit here this morning. I want you to talk to me a bit about, prevalent offences that we against the elderly, that from the police point of view, that concerns the police a whole lot, but especially when they come to the elderly.
Right. I hate the elderly, and people always try to differentiate or separate the elderly from middle age and young people. But one thing people need to realize is that they are human beings too, and they are entitled to the same fundamental rights and privileges that the Constitution grants a younger person. So we should always let me start by saying we should always have respect for the elderly persons. They built our country. They raise the young ones now who are in charge of the country and taking care of our communities. So I'd say all that to say that they have their rights under the laws also, as it relates to being abused. As the ladies was saying yesterday, coming into today, a lot of the persons dealing with, especially elder persons dealing that has dementia, it requires a lot of patience, and it's physically demanding, mentally demanding, and people tend to lash out, and so and that can manifest itself into different types of abuse. So you have the social abuse, the physical abuse, the financial abuse, the taking away of their money. Of course, the criminal code gives us the room to deal with those type of offenses in terms of assault and battery. I pray that it doesn't go into more serious offenses like maiming and so. But the law gives us that privilege and that right to fight those offenses, to arrest those persons, and we can arrest on view, on suspicion, on the charge of a third person. Right? So someone can report it to us, and we encourage persons to report to us regularly when those things are happening, because sometimes people tend to turn a blind eye to crimes of this nature.
That's not my business approach.
That is not my business, right? And it even goes into, we have so many acts that applies to the abuse of elderly people. It goes into even the Domestic Violence Act also when it happens in the home. Right, so you can be prosecuted under the Domestic Violence Act, and it's a very serious act. If I would encourage persons to read it, it's a very serious act with severe penalties, serious penalties. So we strongly advise against the abusing of elderly people.
When it gets to that stage where the police have to intervene, what takes place there? Right.
So of course, when we get on the ground, an assessment has to be done. Of course, it all has to do with the nature of the report. And it's very important. I have to commend my officer in charge, Inspector John, Woman Inspector John, and even the Commissioner of Police, Sir Randy Connor, for having initiatives like these where we can actually come on the program. And thank you to GBN also, always, for having us, because we're able to sensitize persons on these issues. She was just saying that yesterday, someone called because they heard the program, and that's what we want to encourage people. If we're able to get that information out, then they can hear. So because we have that strong bond with our shareholders, we're able to now refer when we have things of this nature. Sometimes it isn't always, I was saying yesterday, it isn't always punitive in nature. When you see the police, it isn't always punitive. We're also there to help. And you know, there's a saying, after God is the police, because people call the police for everything under the sun.
They say, help me God, then call the police.
That's it. So what we've been doing is we've been equipping ourselves with the necessary information, with the necessary knowledge. I must commend the Ministry of Health also, and Ministry of Mental illness. Right. Because we've done some courses with them in the past. Just recently in June, we had over 60 officers doing a course on mental illness as a result of disasters happening. Right. So we know we're prone to disasters, especially hurricanes and so things of this nature is what your police force is doing to better be able to be more equipped to help you and to serve you better.
Understanding situation of that nature, it takes a lot of understanding from the police themselves also.
Definitely.
And it takes a lot of understanding in terms of how to deal with the situation. Because you understand, yes, the stress that family member or the institution that person may be in, that, you know,
that's why
elderly person is giving a lot of trouble. I feel the only way I can resolve is to lash out at them.
That's why I stress on the punitive.
So I take umbrage with the fact they give a lot of trouble. Okay, I'm going to strike that out, because this is the prevailing thought when people are abused. You know, they're being difficult, they're being irritable, they're being aggressive towards the person, and so that is used as an excuse to, you know, I could grab onto you, pull you, shake you, you know. So we really need to be careful with the words that the image that we're sending out there. So I want people to remember that it's a brain disease. They cannot help what they're doing, and it's not as if you can sit down and reason with them, because that part of, if it be the frontal lobe or the hippocampus where the memory is stored, you know, this is where they have a deterioration in their brain, and it's a brain disorder. So from that standpoint, we need to be so sympathetic and compassionate about their care. We need to show love and all of those things. But you can understand as a human being that when you're irritated by a behavior, you're going to want to lash out. So we're inviting people to come to us. We can give you the basics about caring for somebody with dementia and how to go about. There is a solution to almost every problem, and there is a way that we can do things to reduce the irritation, reduce the aggression and the anxiety, and have a happier outcome with better quality of life for the person affected. So it's so important to get that message out there. There is help.
And they've pledged to give some serious training to the police force, so we're better equipped to
and it goes back to understanding of what the situation is. I think that is critical there, because you may not understand that person is getting to a stage where dementia is kicking in on them, and not understanding that is what is happening to them, and you're starting to lash out at that individual, not understanding what they're going through. So as you know, in a Grenadian society, first thing we think about, they get miserable.
So that is why sometimes we are there not only for the client, but for also the family member, because you experiencing something you never experienced before. So we also there to support you, to show you how to deal with it, to let you know that you're not alone. And we know it's difficult, we know it's not easy, and it's a pressure on you. And if you're the only sibling that's there, then there's more pressure on you, and you have to have your family to think about, you have yourself to think about, and also you know have to accept this change in your family member. So we are the center. You can bring your parents, leave them there for an hour, just so you can deal with you. You know, so because sometimes we have to step back and take care of you, because if you falling apart, there's no way you can come and show me love.
So true.
You will come with so much anger and hatred towards me, like and the person just innocent, because at the end of the day, the disease is not their fault. So that's why you have to look after you. That's why sometimes the carers in the home, we always tell them, you have your day off, take your day off. This is for you to step back and recoup all over again, because it's not easy.
No.
Working with the elderly, dealing with the elderly, it's a hard job. So when you step away, take that, go somewhere for yourself, make it about you, and then come back fresh, because every day in care is never the same. Every day is a different challenge. Today, Miss Thomas might be good with you. Tomorrow, she don't want to see you. Yeah?
I hope you're not referring to me.
No. It might be the color you wear.
Yeah.
That color just upsets
just
her.
triggers her for
that
different
food
family.
just upsets her. You give me food and you have lots of salt in it. Now you know you didn't put salt in it, but to her, yes, you put salt. You trying to poison me. You trying to kill me.
Yeah.
So imagine you have that family member telling you that, and you're not used to that person telling you that. You're going to cry. The next thing is when they don't recognize you. That has been the hurtful thing for families. Like, your mom don't recognize you at all.
What are you doing in my house?
Yeah, I'm going to call the police. They want to hit you. So therefore, you have to get the inform yourself, get some information so you know how to deal with it. Have the patience, show the kindness and the understanding that, this is my mom. It's not her fault. The illness is there. Let me cope with it. But at the same time, let me find some time to look after me so I can look after that person.
Can I just come back on one point?
Sure.
We have a facility at the center for respite care. So if the caregiver is struggling, you can bring your elderly relative to us. We'll look after them for the day. You go off and do your nails, do your hair, have a day off, and then you're ready again to take care of that person.
So you don't offer a sleepover, though? You don't offer
No, come back and take them. Don't just drop them and just go, Come
Some
back
folks
for them.
like that.
Yeah.
Can you hold them for a month?
You see them the next day. Oh, I didn't know I could have left them. And then you left with the thing. I mean, if it happened, then we'll have a solution to deal with it. But we pray that it don't.
All right. We due for a break again. Let's take it. When we come back, we continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. To the point. Classic Radio GBN TV. We will be right back.
All around the world, rat infestation causes widespread damage. Grenada is no exception. Food stores get affected and
It's never too early to prepare for a hurricane, and we want to make sure our community is always ready. Take an active role. It only takes one hurricane to change your life and threaten our community. Hurricanes are one of nature's most powerful and destructive events. That's why a hurricane preparedness checklist is vital. You should have a family evacuation and communication plan. Everyone in your home should know what to do if severe weather strikes. Have a hand crank or battery-powered radio available to stay informed about weather updates. Flashlights and extra batteries are essential. Update your emergency supply kit. Include a sufficient supply of food and water. 1 gallon of water per person per day is the recommended amount. Have canned or boxed food available that won't spoil. At least a week's supply of medication is also suggested. Have special items set aside that you might need for infants or elderly residents in your home. Learn about your community's emergency plans, warning signals, and evacuation routes. Know where to find emergency shelters. Inform local authorities about anyone with special needs, such as the elderly or bedridden, or anyone with a disability. Don't wait until the hurricane is on its way. Do this now. If you're a pet owner, have food and extra water set aside for your pets. Make plans to ensure your pet's safety. Most emergency shelters cannot accept pets due to safety and sanitation requirements. Locate and secure your important papers, such as insurance policies, wills, licenses, and stocks. Hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th. Do your part to protect your family and your property. Be smart, be safe, and be prepared.
back. We having that off-air bit of a conversation this morning, and sometimes it's interesting. Welcome back once again. Now, there are steps that individuals should take in terms of protecting the elderly. Because their protection is vital in this, because sometimes they can harm themselves when they have situations like that. Remember we have situations where individuals may have left home and they're not found and all of these things because they just forget where they live, and they go areas and there are situations that have been developed today but never found. You understand? What are some steps that individuals can take, family members, the general public as a whole also, throw that into in terms of how they can protect the elderly?
So wandering is part of dementia. You forget where you are, you get disorientated, you go out, you get lost. And with the condition comes the fact that sometimes you feel that where you are is not safe and you need to get home. You're home, but you feel like you need to go somewhere else to safe. And so people start to wander through open doors, unlocked gates, and we've had several calls from the police. I've met this person wandering, what can I do? So safety is key. With the safety comes autonomy, because you don't want to lock the person up. You don't want to lock all the doors, because that will make them more frustrated. They'll be pulling at the doors, banging on doors because they can't get out. So what I always say is make sure the main gate is locked. If there isn't a gate, get a gate, make sure it's locked. Keep the inner doors open. If there's a veranda where they can perhaps fall over, you need to secure that whatever way you can. If the only time I advise locking doors is if you have to go to the toilet where you haven't got direct contact with them, make sure the door is locked at that point, because they will go out. That's the only time. But when you are able to walk about the house and supervise them, keep doors unlocked. That is one of the key things, but they will wander. So that's one way you can keep them safe.
And the next thing is that you make sure there is somebody always there watching and protecting them. Now, don't hover over them. Give them the space, but at the same time, monitor them. And even though you have to leave to go to the bathroom or to the kitchen, still keep an eye on them. And if you're a carer and you're looking after them, tell the other person, listen, I'm going to the washroom, I'm going on break, I'm going on lunch. Keep an eye on this person for me. Because the minute time, and the thing is, they are very smart. Because the minute time you think they'll not be watching you, but they'll be watching you. You'll have a key and you'll be putting a key somewhere.
They will see.
And they will see where you put the key. The meantime you turn around, they'll go get the key. So even though they have dementia and they're wandering, but still keep an eye on them, because the minute time you look, they're gone road.
And people will say, because they can cognitively know where the key is and get the key, there's nothing wrong with them. And that's a false premise. Please do not say that.
And let other family members know that, okay, mom is going through this, so if you see mom somewhere, but because some of us, we keep it so tight, like we're afraid or we're ashamed that, mom has dementia, or mom is getting old. They don't want to accept it. It's like they deny it.
The stigma is still there.
Yes. So if you tell others in the community, at least if they say, well, why is Miss so-and-so outside, and they will call, I see your mom, and they'll say, keep your hold up for me, please, because the door is open and we're wondering where she at.
I think we've become a lot more individualistic, as Ms. Lewis was saying. We're going to keep it to ourselves, but it's very important. I was going to say, and you said it, you took it right out of my mouth. It's very important, apart from the immediate family, those that are wrong, to inform persons in the community. Go even further. Inform the nearest police station. They usually officers on patrol. You never know what they might be looking out for when they're patrolling. They might see the person wandering. They might say, I know Miss James. She, that's Mr. James' mom, and he informed us that she's a one. Sometimes she can get out, so they can get her and bring her back home. And it goes a very, very long way. In addition to that, it's very important. My department, Community Relations Department, is responsible for putting out releases of that nature. So as soon as you notice that person is missing, don't wait too long, because they can injure themselves, and then if they're wandering, depending
but
on where
we go through the same procedure, because usually it's a 48 hours.
Oh no.
We talked about that
yesterday. We laughed about it too. No 48 hours with a wanderer.
When coming to dementia, no fault, because they're at risk. They're at high risk. So you cannot. Sometimes the noise alone will irritate them. So they start get frightened and they don't don't know how to react. So it can be a 48 hours.
So I want to go back to safety because we haven't completed that yet, and it's so important. I'll give you a quick story. I had a carer who was working with an elderly lady, and that lady picked up a cutlass and she said, "I'm going to cut your head off," to the carer. So the carer got out of the room, closed the door behind her, she went into the yard, she went through the gate, got a bus, and she went home. That is not supposed to happen. You have to stay within the parameters, but keep yourself safe. So
but you would understand the reason for why the carer would go to the club.
But, if you leave, give them some time on their own, close the door, you go out, come back within 2 minutes, they're back to normal. Yeah. So the argument is that, you can't leave her because she's going to use a cutlass and commit suicide, or that cognitive ability is not there. They won't say, I'm going to kill myself. Oftentimes they're having hallucinations. Okay. And it means that the carer's role is to redirect the thoughts, So for instance, you have somebody who's think you're coming to poison them or to kill them or to hurt them in some way. The best way to deal with that is, first of all, you deal with the irritability or the aggression that they have. You deal with that first. Calm them down as best you can. Then you need to redirect the thoughts. So you should know that person. You should know what they like, what they don't like, to redirect them. It could be to an activity that they like. It could be taking them out for a walk. It could be talking about getting them to call a family member so they can have a telephone conversation. That would often calm them down. So there are many, many different ways you can get that person to become calm and to keep them safe and yourself safe.
Dealing with an individual who with dementia, so who have and the nature becomes aggressive. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that when the police were coming also. How do you deal with that? Okay. Because you may not want to lock them up. Mm-hmm. You understand? Yeah. You may not want to lock. How do you deal with that?
So aggression is something that it comes with the territory with dementia, and we deal with it every single day. It's aggression, it's fear, anxiety, being irritable, all of those things together. And so one of the ways, we'll have somebody, say, who is crying and screaming and shouting because they'll say, my husband just died, he just died. They just called me from the hospital, and it's an hallucination the person's having. The first and foremost, as I said before, is just to try and calm that person down. You deal with the emotions. The one thing you do not say to them, don't be so stupid, your husband died 20 years ago. Yeah. You deal with the present emotion. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry you lost your husband. Sit down next to them. You're talking to them in a calm way. Then you need to think about redirecting the thoughts. Yeah. Get that thought off that bereavement onto something more positive. So one of the ways you could do that simply, after you've calmed them down, you've dealt with the emotions, is to get something like a photo album, Talk about the photo album. Is that your husband? He looks so handsome. And who is this one here? Your daughter, children? Before you know it, they've calmed right down because you've redirected the thoughts. And it's the same with any kind of aggressive behavior. You need to be able to redirect that thought from what it is onto something more pleasant, a pleasanter thought for them.
That's also brilliant. Music, nice running water. Calm. Yeah. It calms them down, and just a touch. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm glad you brought it up in terms of responding to the violence, and that brings us back to even understanding it even more when you're able to, do all these informative sessions and so. Mm-hmm. Officers are better. I'm sure in the past the amount of violence that ensued because of the lack of understanding. Yes. You just see the violence
folks maybe wanting to maybe
and they cannot express themselves.
Something of that nature. You understand? No, folks at home and even in institutions where these individuals are kept, because sometimes family decide, I don't want to deal with them in the house anymore, send them to the homes of the elderly and so forth. Your grouping, would you be offering that assistance to individuals like, hey, we having once a week, twice a week, whatever time factor you want to put into it, to have those conversations with individuals, even individuals who may not have that on and on experience, but interested. Talk to me about that. Give a number. Tell us how you plan on what you plan on doing, because you said it's just only be a couple of months, and I know there are listeners to this program now. This conversation may have triggered something in them that they want to be part and get the assistance also.
So we have a support line. It's really important. I want to get that message out there. The support line is open from 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night. You can call us if you have an issue, you're not dealing with the situation very well. Just give us a call. The number it's a mobile and a landline. The mobile is 424-3365. The landline is 442-2025.
Okay.
We also have a website, so you can go on our website, get information about dementia, how to deal with different situations, and the website is GrenadaDementiaCare.com.
Okay.
So go on any of those platforms and give us a call. You can message us, send us an email, and we'll be there to help you through. Also, drop into the center, come in, talk to us face to face. We're there to help. We'll give you advice. We have about 7 people on staff at the moment. We try to be there every day from 8:30 until 4. It doesn't always work that way, but there is a big notice on the window to call a number if we're not in the office. So drop in, chat with us. We are here to help.
Is it a volunteer organization?
It's a non-profit. It's a non-profit. Non-profit. So we're also appealing for funds. Anybody who has a generous pocket and they want to assist us, we may start with you gentlemen here. We always need funds.
All right. I want to chip in this because, even in the elderly and youngsters, bullying is also a part of, is a crucial part of this also.
Abuse.
It may seem not something that you may think will only happens to young people in terms of the bullying aspect of that. How concerned are you from the police point of view, also from your organization point of view, when elderly are being abused in that way, in the form of bullying them? How concerned are you in reference to that?
We generally frown upon any form of abuse, whether it's elderly, young. I mean, we're speaking about elderly now, so it's definitely a concern. I've heard persons saying that they haven't heard a lot of stories, but that doesn't mean it's not happening.
Yeah.
So is the police force, that's why we put in so many mechanisms in place to deal with it. And to get the message out there, there are mechanisms in place. The law is there, and we will execute the full extent of the law where it's applicable, where the abuse is taking place. But we really want to drive home that persons need to report those issues so that we can respond appropriately to them and deal with it.
Can I just give you a quick story?
Sure, go ahead.
I love stories. So I had a call from somebody probably about a couple of months ago, and that person was concerned about a family, a husband and wife, who were struggling. They needed help to cook meals and so on. So I took the details, tried to contact the lady, and there was no answer. I called and called and called, no answer at all. So the person who referred me to them told me the address. We went there, but could gain no access. There was nothing. So on my way back, the phone rang, and it was the lady. She was scared of her son who was living with her. He was there at the time, and she couldn't answer the phone.
Yeah.
He is abusive, and abuse comes in so many forms. It doesn't have to be physical. But he was swearing at them, cursing them off, and telling them he doesn't want anybody in the house, don't get anybody in. And she had to sneak out to get a neighbor to prepare meals for them. It's an awful situation, and I was stuck between a rock and a hard place because she said to me, I don't want anybody involved. I will call you back when I need help. And she hasn't called back. What do we do when we know that abuse is going on?
Yeah. And in situations like those, it's very important. A lot of people think when you call the police, it has to be for drugs or a fight taking place somewhere. But things of those nature, that's why the police, we're building relationships, as I mentioned before, with our shareholders. I mean, apart from GDI, Grenada Dementia Initiative, we have the Ministry of Social Development, and they also have mechanisms in place that can assist people in those circumstances. And it's very important sometimes, I was saying yesterday, that in people of those circumstances, it's fear that's keeping them in prison. And it's very important sometimes to get them isolated, listen to their version, and that's exclusive of having dementia. It's even there are persons that don't even have a mental Alzheimer's or dementia or so, and they are being abused in their home, elderly people. So it's very important that we get them isolated, we speak to them, understand what's going on, get the ministry involved, and we work together beautifully to get them in a safe and get them to exercise their constitutional rights.
You know, and at least a little bit of stigma to it, especially when it comes to families. Seeing the police visiting your home and stuff like that. Some folks may not like that. Especially
we try to change that image,
especially in the community that you live. You know, why the police is visiting my home all the time.
And that's why it's a mandate of the Commissioner of Police that we're driving the community policing. So when you see us in a community, it's not always to respond to an offense or a crime. We're there to just visit, hear your concerns, see how you're doing. You know, the little baby, how's the little baby doing? You know, how's school? Those type of things. Because we're a family.
Have to stop showing up with uniform, maybe come on unified.
We definitely. That's a good idea. You do some studies. That's no.
That can help because it will. Because when they see the uniform, everybody gets. But like when you're coming more close, it will be more relaxed, and then you can have a conversation with them, and they
quickly and interestingly, studies show that the uniform can evoke some level of so
intimidation.
We kind of break that.
Break that cycle.
That's why it's so important for us to have these discussions.
Definitely.
The community is aware. Look, we can go to the police. You know, they're not against us all the time. So that's a good message.
I'm sure you guys have noticed a lot more police officers smiling now, and we're pleasant and we're dealing with the public.
I want to have a slight diversion for you, as you as being the police here. You know, I just want to know what's the police perspective and how their views in terms of what's happening in our schools. You know, regarding to bullying and how serious is that a problem?
Well, bullying is a very serious issue. I remember speaking about it here so a couple of weeks ago. It can lead to suicidal ideation. Students, very uncomfortable in school. They're not able to learn properly, and the worst part of it is the violence that's taking place. And we do have the law on our side as it relates to that. Again, we want to stress persons reporting those issues, teachers, principals, and so what we've been doing recently is going into the schools, asking what are the issues, and seeing how we can deal with it. If we can bring in a counselor with us, if we can deal with it by ourselves, we can have mediation efforts to deal with those issues. If it reaches to the extent where persons are being harmed and assaulted, then we take it to court. We encourage the parents to come in with their student, with their sons or daughters or whoever, and they give a report, and we take it to court. Whatever the extent that the court provides, we have that at our disposal. So we go that far, but we have to know before we can respond.
And it leads me to ask you another question, because the intervention part, because some folks say, is it only when the cases when physical harm has been done, or there's a threat, or
and
intimidation reported? Isn't that the only time we get intervention from the police?
So what we've done a while now is that we have different zones and we have police stations. So the police station is responsible for a certain zone. So you have the central police station, you would have the high school, GBSS within that area. And there are officers who are responsible for going to the different schools. They have the contacts of each other, so if something happens in the school, they can call the officers and they can report what is happening. And what we are encouraging for the teachers, the counselors, and so it's early reporting. Same with dementia, the early diagnosis of what is taking place in the school, and we can nip it in the bud. We can bring those students in, we can speak to them. Whatever intervention needs to take place, we will get the requisite shareholders involved, and we can deal with the issues early, so that we don't see. I'm sure you saw the video recently, what happened with that, and I was so heartbroken to see that, because I think a lot could have been done to before it had gotten
to that stage. And my final question on that, I'm sure there are preventative measures that the police would like to see taken place before, in terms of what you like to see in terms of preventing or stopping bullying before it gets escalated to that. But
Well, I know most of the schools, they have their every Monday. They have the assemblies every Monday morning. So I left school a long time ago. So it's very important that they drive home that the students need to report any indication of bullying. I would even go so far as to ask the school to have an anti-bullying squad of persons where that's responsible to report bullying and to speak against it, to make plaques, and we've been doing that for ourselves. If you check our page, I like to encourage persons to subscribe to our our Facebook page where we get most of our traffic. The Royal Grenada Police Force, very simple, easy to subscribe to, and so we can work together and disseminate information to fight against this ill in our society, because it affects every one of us. Even the person doing the bullying, it affects them. And we need to work together to deal with it severely.
What is causing them to be bullying others?
That's it.
I mean, I ask those questions because it always has to start from somewhere.
Definitely.
You understand that youngster may be bullying an elderly at home.
Most of the time,
so that's why you start something probably doing it to an elderly person home, and then it leads to him. That probably gets solved for a reason. The individual may have died, so no, that they take it out to schools and stuff like that.
I was happy to hear the officer in charge of the Central Police Station. He had an initiative where we would, even with the students with the gambling, bullying, and so we would go to the school, speak to the teachers, get the parents involved, and even go into the home, and get the root of what is taking place and deal with it from there. So we are working on dealing with it.
Do you think penalties is a problem?
Penalties,
because sometimes folks may think, well, nothing is happening, and it continued to happen. It continued to happen. Maybe there's no penalties, there's no consequences for what is happening. So they feel, they come and talk, come and talk. So, but it hasn't. So it made a difference to them. The individual would listen to you for a lengthy period of time and doesn't stop what they want to do.
In and out.
Maybe reform is needed, and reform is always taking place. So that's why it's important for us to come together and have meetings, structured meetings, to deal with it, even from a scientific perspective, to see what is happening. But I know the schools, what they do sometimes is they have the suspension, they have the expulsion.
It's working. No. I think in our era, maybe it has.
Is needed to determine. But
youngster would like to stay home and be on his computer and be on whatever, and then come back to school. With
because
the same
we can't be doing the same thing and expect different results. So
maybe y'all could implement boot camps.
Boot camps. That's a thought.
So when they think they're going home and relax themselves.
We have a few more minutes left on the program, but I know the phones have been going. I know there are listeners and viewers may want to ask a question or two. We may not be able to accommodate as much call this morning because you're already due for time. Let's take our first caller. Caller, your life. Good morning. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, GT. Morning to the gentlemen and ladies, whoever, what it is. My contribution is I think we're not doing enough in Grenada for senior citizens. I'm a senior citizen, and I know that. Look, for example, there's so many business places in Grenada, and you hardly could go in a place and see a senior sign marked senior citizen line. That is one. Look at the situation. You just talk about the schools. All the homes and schools, you should have a program where sometime at the way these groups of children go and visit the senior citizen homes to see what it's like, how they function. Investing in senior citizens is not a one-year thing, It's for generation to come. So the more we invest and make it better and do things, it's easier for the other generation that come in. But there's a lot of talking. As the lady says, simply, the things that the people know. Sometimes you may go in a home and where you might see them, what station the television is, and CNN. What station the radio on is a station that these senior citizens don't even understand, they don't know. So it's on GBN, they're going to hear things about Grenada and what is Grenada. You're going to see the Grenada TV, there's something reflect their mind. And I will even go so far as to advise someone, there's a lot of business people, try and open up a bigger senior citizen homes. And you can do it in a way because some of these people have money. For instance, me, if I get in the age and I don't have anyone to think and have property, I said, look, I sign up with that home that everything I own, you take care of me. When I pass, you take it. You have a lot of senior citizens that have this situation. So you can make that home in such certain ways that they sign up, the home take care of them, the doctor, everything, make sure what it is. But once they die, everything becomes to that home. There's a lot of things we can do for seniors.
Thank you, caller. Thank you so much. We'll take our final caller, and he made some relevant points.
Very, very good points
there. You know, so let's take our final caller, and then we take a wrap. Caller via WhatsApp, your live. Let's hear from you. Good morning.
Hey, GT, just with me, just to reach.
And I beg if you be brief. You're my final caller. Be brief, please.
All right, a 95-year-old woman is accused of beating a roommate, a Holocaust victim. That's in Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, basically that happened. She beat a 89-year-old woman to death, and all because she was suffering with dementia. All right. So basically, my question would be, what kind of traits you have to look? And if two people is suffering from the same thing, why should they keep them in a room? And that happened in a nursing home in Brooklyn. That was last week, September the 18th at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you so much. You want to respond to the caller?
Well, first they should have been, I'm sure that's not the first time something like that happened. And if they had been monitoring them, they would have seen that they're not getting on. So once you see they're not getting on, then you separate them. Because there have to be a sign that, okay, these people not get, and some of them don't get on. They just don't like each other. So we always tell staff, monitor them. When you get to know their history, now when they're coming into you, you're supposed to have a history about them. Yeah. The type of dementia they have and things like that, and communicate it with your colleagues. So once you get to know that, you separate them, say that these two not getting on. I've known things like two residents not getting on in the same thing. They're always fighting.
So they should be isolated.
You step in right away, let that one have the room for themselves, and then during the day you watch them, how they react to each other. She might have reminded her of somebody in the past, you know? So that's why you have to always say, keep an eye on each and every one of them, because the behavior will change. The minute time you just let it slip over, and they're sharing a room together, you're not in the room 24/7. So anything
even
is
the Bible say if two can't agree,
And not to have weapons or instruments available that can cause harm to somebody else.
I will ask you all for some closing remarks as we take a wrap for today. And also, we're going to go first.
I would go first. I'd just like to say thank you for the opportunity to spread the word about dementia awareness across the radio. We are here, GDI is here to help the community. Please get in touch with us. I'll give you the phone number again. It's 424-3365, 442-2025. Website, GrenadaDementiaCare.com.
Okay, I'm going to say, remember to have patience, understanding, show kindness and love to the elderly, because one day we will end up being that way. And thanks for having us. We appreciate you.
You're certainly welcome.
I just want to say, just to re-emphasize that the police force is here to serve you. We're at your service. Sometimes it's a bit cliche, but we are here to serve. But we can't do it alone. We need your help and your assistance and your cooperation. We need you to report. If you see something, say something. Us being here, me being here is a testament that we cater for all strata of society, not just our young and middle-aged persons, but we do care about our elderly persons. We want to thank the Grenada Dementia Initiative for being stalwarts in assisting in the dissemination of information and being a shareholder to us so that we can reach out to them when we need assistance. And please, persons, don't be afraid. Let's operate in a spirit of love, as Ms. Lewis was saying. That stayed with me. We need to come back to when we used to look out for each other, make a call, and look out for one another, and so that we can be a safe community, and that you can help us to make our jobs easier as police officers to serve you.
All right. I want to thank you once again, ladies. I want to thank you once again. Really, really great information shared this morning, and folks who may be having issues with someone, an elderly individual with dementia, not knowing the sign, and not even thinking, well, that's the individual, or just thinking they're miserable. That's something as we will think in the local way of saying it. Get the help. Call the dementia, the Grenada Dementia Initiative community. Give them a call, and you could talk to that individual, and they will understand exactly what that individual that they may be taking care of is going through. Look for the early signs, and you could offer some help. As you said, they probably just need that little bit of recreation, that coming out at that different place to say, and it will certainly make a difference for them. All right. Operator, once again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, folks, that's going to take a wrap for today's edition of To The Point. Until we have another edition, have yourself a good one, folks, and goodbye.